Hi everyone, this is Anu and welcome back to another video. I am doing a small 8x10 painting and I'm going to take you through how I use complementary colors. Using complementary colors is one of my favorite ways of creating interest in my painting. It creates movement, it makes my painting that much more dynamic, and I tend to use it in all my paintings. The best way to really start exploring how to use complementary colors is to really familiarize yourself with the color wheel. We tend to think of colors as just yellow, blue, red, green, but we don't see that all those colors also lie in a spectrum. There are warm yellows and there are cooler yellows, and that's something that you can really play with when you paint. So in this painting, I am doing a lady getting ready, and her scarf has a lot of yellow and a lot of orange because it's backlit, and her dress is dark, it's black, but as you will see soon, it has a lot of sheen to it, and I'm going to play with complementary colors. In particular, I'll be using oranges and blues a lot because her scarf that she's going to be holding has a lot of oranges and yellows, and her dress, while very dark, has a lot of blues in it. And those two colors are going to be close to each other, so they will play off each other beautifully. But I'm not there yet. What I'm doing right now is putting in values to the face. I'm not going into too much detail, although there is enough information there to discern the face. I opted for a burnt sienna and terra rosa background, and where I wanted to darken it, I added some Mars black and some burnt umber. And now I am laying down the shapes in her dress. It is a satin or silk dress, so it's basically a shiny material and it reflects really cool light. And I always say this, but your darks and your lights have a lot of life to them. That means they're not just flat and one color. The reflections are not just like a whitish color of her dress, they have a bluish tinge to them. So, really look at what you're painting and see how you can best play with the color. I chose to punch up the blue of the sheen her dress catches when it reflects the light. I used a lot of King's Blue and a little bit of ultramarine just to give it a little bit of variance even with the blue. And so you have varied reflections on the dress depending on how much light there is shining on it. And it also has a lot of embroidery. Even in the embroidery, I'm making sure to incorporate a little bit of orange in there. Yes, the embroidery is primarily gold, but I added in a lot of orange just so that it would juxtapose really nicely with the blues. But the bulk of the orange comes from her scarf and it is backlit, and I really want to punch up the orange tones, so I'm going in with some cadmium orange, some vermilion, because I really feel that would add a little bit of variation to the orange of the scarf. And I really want to push the background to complement the tones of the scarf and to really make the blues on the dress stand out. So I'm adding a little bit more Terra Rosa in there and a little bit of Mars Black and Burnt Umber to create this halo-y feeling that is behind. Now that the background has been really established much more strongly, I can go in and create a backlit feeling on her hair, and it's a lot of fun to take those wisps and give a halo of light. And I used a lot of cadmium yellow and cadmium orange in her hair. Now I'm going back to the scarf, and it can't just be orange. I used a lot of dark blues in the scarf itself to give it some shadows. And that's how I try to play as much as possible with color, even though the majority of that scarf is going to be orange and yellow. I want it to have more bounce visually, so in the shadows I try to incorporate some of the contrasting colors that I use. I find using complementary colors this way creates a much more interesting shadow that doesn't feel flat. And since this is a smaller painting, we are almost done. I'm just putting in the final touches and painting her earring and calling it finished. I hope you enjoyed watching me paint this. If you did, please subscribe and leave a comment for me, and I will see you next time.